My f24, fiancé, m24, just insulted my career and I'm having trouble getting over it. Okay, so basically we've been together almost 7 years and engaged for one, and tonight while at dinner he let it slip that he never paid rent and that he also didn't have enough money to cover our dinner bill like he said he would. We were with other people, including my boss, which made it all more embarrassing because after paying for his birthday party last week, decor, drinks, food, cake, etc., I'm really behind on money and didn't have enough to pay for dinner, which is why I confirmed before we went so I knew how much we could spend and if we should even go. When we got home, he yelled at me about how I minimize his job, working as a cook at a pizza restaurant, all because I asked to reconfirm that he had enough money for his half of rent, and that wasn't the reason why we were late paying. He proceeded to tell me that my 3 jobs as a teacher and nanny, for 2 different families, was all sunshine and rainbows, and I had no reason to complain because he was on his feet over a hot stove for 5 hours a day when I am working 10 straight with no real breaks. I have never once tried to compare our jobs because they are completely different, and I always make a point to ask him how his day was and listen without comparing his struggles to mine. I guess I'm just trying to figure out if I'm overreacting. I hear a lot of stuff about how teaching and nannying isn't a real job, and he knows how much it upsets me, so hearing it from him kinda has me going crazy. And I know some of it comes from a point of envy because he's wanted to be an educator too, but just hasn't had the motivation or drive for college until recently. I just don't know what to do. The augment brought up a lot of other things I'm unhappy with, and I just don't know if I'm being overly sensitive or if I have a right to be offended by this. Any thoughts are greatly appreciated. I would just love to hear an outside POV on all of this. Thank you. Big words from the guy who failed to make rent this month with his death metal job. Seriously, work is work. Sure, a lot of office work is absolute bullshit, but teaching and childcare? They are 100% not. They get dumped on because of the fact that they are majority female professions, but never let anyone tell you they aren't real and important. This man-child sounds bitter that his career is going nowhere, and he was embarrassed when he couldn't cover what he promised. That instead of apologizing for lying and for not paying the rent, he decided to lash out at you and try to make you feel smaller is a major red flag. Unless he's normally a field of green, you should probably consider if there are any other problems you've been overlooking. Huge red flag, time for you to move on. He lied to you, this will be a continuous thing in your life, you deserve better. Wake up, walk away. LMAO, he's such a weenie. Do not marry this guy, good lord. Girl, like this dude can't even pay rent, and he's got the nerve to call your job sunshine and rainbows? You are working 3 jobs and he's mad because you want to know if he can cover his share. I would be pissed. If he's jealous because he hasn't had the motivation to go to college, that's on him. You're not being overly sensitive. He can't even pay for a date, but wants to minimize your work, that's some next level entitlement. Maybe think hard about whether you want to spend the rest of your life with someone who doesn't respect what you do and doesn't pull his own weight. Get out before you end up pregnant. He projected his insecurity and shame out on you. He has little to no prospects, isn't motivated to work or improve himself, and puts you down so he can feel like a bigger man. Throw this one back, he stinks. My 25M boyfriend doesn't want me 23F to get therapy. Hello again, everyone. Me 23F and my boyfriend 25M have been dating for just over 2 months, and we've been through a lot already. We went through some tough arguments, a period where we didn't speak, and an abortion. Now we're kind of rebuilding our relationship from the ground up. He and I both noticed I was exhibiting unhealthy behaviors that were the cause of some of our problems. I also heard of these patterns in my friendships and previous relationships too. I had already been looking for a therapist before I'd met him, but I've decided now it is the time to be intentional about seeing one, since I want to be a better person overall and also be healthier for myself and him. I told him last week about this, had already scheduled a psychiatrist visit and saw them, and he got incredibly upset. He asked me why I needed to see a therapist when we could just talk. I asked him his views on it, and he said he didn't care since I already made a decision, because it seemed like I wasn't asking, I was telling him. To preface this, I've struggled with ADHD my entire life, and finally feel seen since finding a therapist/psychiatrist. He doesn't understand this, and thinks there's something else I'm not telling him, and that's why I need a therapist. He even tried to break up with me that evening and said, I just keep doing what I want and expecting him to be okay with it. He completely disregarded my feelings and struggles, and basically said I was disrespecting him for already going and talking to one. I felt deep down in me that this is something good and not bad. I even told him about the tools and resources they offer to help with my problems. Still he protested, so I dropped the matter. Fast forward to today. I finally found a therapist that is perfect for me and completely affirmed my intuition on why I should have one. This time I immediately told him and said that I really want to keep seeing one. The same thing happened, and now he hasn't responded to me in hours. I feel like I've compromised on so many things for him, but continues to not reciprocate the energy for me. Especially since this is something that I feel can really help me and him. I've tried multiple times to ask him his honest opinions, but he has refused to tell me. Today he said that he doesn't want me seeing a therapist and insists something deeper is going on, and I'm not being honest with him. How can I convince him that this will help me? How do I keep taking care of my mental health knowing he's upset about this? And is this value too important to compromise on? If you're 2 months in and you need advice from Reddit, your relationship probably isn't worth it. Hey Reddit, my boyfriend of 2 months doesn't want me to better myself. How do I shrink myself small enough that he will let me do this one thing for myself? That's what you sound like. I'm sorry to be mean. I would be meaner to your boyfriend if I spoke to him, I promise you. Break up with him. He wants you to be broken, then he can use it against you. It gives him power. He wants power over you, and I suspect you've compromised on a lot on unhealthy, toxic behavior and wants from him. And then you'll get better with therapy, and you'll realize he's dragging you down, and you don't need him. At 2 months, it shouldn't be this hard, it should be fun. Go to therapy and don't look back. Your mental health is non-negotiable. And to be frank, I feel like you've described a disproportionate amount of conflict for such a fresh relationship. You know what you have to do. Girl, you need therapy more than a man. A therapist will tell you to get rid of him, and that's what he's afraid of. Continue seeing the therapist. He doesn't want to confront his issues either, so he's less likely to change. Avoid discussing bit by bit of what you discussed with the therapist with him. Controlling and toxic people hate therapy for their partners because they worry it will strengthen them, make them more resistant to toxicity, more perceptive of how bad the relationship is, more likely to leave. He asked me why I needed to see a therapist when we could just talk. That's why he framed it this way. He doesn't want anyone from outside the dynamic seeing what he does, or giving you insight into what is happening. He wants to be in control, and if you go to him for support, he can use that against you, isolate you, control the narratives. Never date people that don't support your attempts to better your life or personal well-being. He should be invested in you being happy and healthy, and yet he resents even the idea of it, and that's sad. My 20F boyfriend, 22M, is celibate, and I don't know how to navigate our future. I fell in love with this man, and have been seeing him for a handful of months. In the beginning he was quite secretive about himself, but of course it all came to light as time passed, and as we got closer. Anyways, he told me a few months after we started to date that he was celibate due to religious reasons, and will not have sex before marriage. I have never been a sex-driven person, but it was something I always experienced with previous relationships, something I've always craved. I always told myself I wouldn't commit myself into a relationship where sexual infamy wasn't shared. I disagree with a lot of the logic behind celibacy, and now that I'm wanting to commit to a relationship without sex, the hurt and pain of it is spilling out. On one end, I feel immensely grateful that this person isn't seeing me as a sexual object and is able to maintain abstinence. But it is hurting me. We will engage in other physical intimacy, but I am left severely unsatisfied. I feel as if I can't feel truly close to this person if I don't have sex with them. Sexual compatibility is immensely important to any relationship, and I won't ever be able to know if we're compatible until marriage. I also feel as if it creates more of a rush for marriage in general. It makes me feel unwanted, not desired as much, and a lot of our time spent together, I am hung up on how sexually frustrated I am. I've been trying to use it as an opportunity towards self-control. I have a lot of sexual trauma, and I feel like not engaging in any form of intimacy on that level is worsening it to a degree. It makes me feel as powerless as I always have. Now, I know I speak negatively in the majority of this post, but I really do love this person. Everything else about him is perfect to me. All the boxes are checked off. But at the expense of constantly getting sexually triggered, feeling like a hypersexual, not being able to be present when we share intimate moments, and simply, the lack of excitement. I wouldn't be able to have sex for a few years. Considering marriage needs to come at the right time, I feel like the sexual spark will be gone maybe? That he or I won't be able to even get turned on by each other. I'm seeking advice from all perspectives and maybe personal experience. This is a huge decision for me, and I know I can't just let it sit. For further context, nothing of sexual nature is allowed other than baseline kissing and cuddling. Unless you are also planning on being celibate, your relationship is over. The only people that haven't figured this out is him and you. Sexual incompatibility is a very valid reason to end a relationship. Why would you consider moving forward in a relationship where your needs aren't being met? Sexless relationships can exist, but you are way too young to even consider settling. If you've been seeing him only a handful of months, you are experiencing limerence, not love. It can't be love yet, because you don't fully know him yet. You're starting to get to know the sides of him that aren't so perfect for you. But trust me, there will be more. People are complicated and take time to really know. I think you know that you two are incompatible. It's not fair to make him act against his principles, nor for you to squelch your own needs. There is no compromise here. Girl, don't waste your time on a celibate man if you are not willing to be celibate with him. It sounds like this relationship is just setting the two of you up for resentment. Either you wait and resent him in the meantime, or he gives in and resents you. I'm afraid you're too incompatible for this. I feel like the only people who this works for are two people who have independently decided to be celibate until marriage, or people who just do not care about sex at all. You don't seem to be either of the two categories. You would just be deciding to be celibate for him. The risks I can think of here are 1. You end up rushing into marriage before you're ready/sure, so that you can finally have sex, and 2. You eventually get married and you're completely sexually incompatible. Or maybe you will be extremely sexually compatible. Who knows, but you do need to consider the above and decide whether those risks are worth it. But take my statement with a grain of salt, because I'm the kind of person who wouldn't even enter into a relationship without having sex with that person. How do I, 25F, break up with my boyfriend, 22M, who is very in love with me early on? Long story short, my boyfriend, 22M, and I, 25F, have been official for 3 months, dating a bit longer. We did move really quickly at first, and we're both head over heels. And I'm very sad, but it's just not that way anymore. Now he has told me recently that he is falling for me, but I don't feel the same. Although I still really like him as a person, I just don't think I'm falling in love. We are just not compatible at all, and I'm struggling to see us working out. I'll list a couple reasons below. Too long did not read. At the bottom of post. First of all, the big one, he knows that he wants kids one day, and I know that I don't. But he is adamant that I will change my mind eventually, as every woman does. Yes, this is a big red flag from him. Unfortunately, it wasn't immediately noticeable and started a few months in as just a small comment he made here and there. But now I've realized that is fully his outlook. If I say anything like, I don't want kids, he'll add, yet, on to the end of my sentence now. Also, we bicker a hell of a lot, then I get annoyed and he gets upset. We're both a little stubborn, but I can admit when I'm wrong he can't. He will continue to explain himself repeatedly and will tell me that I just don't understand what he's saying. Even after I've said I understand, we just don't agree. He thinks the arguing is something we can work through, but it hasn't gotten any better since I raised it as a problem a while ago. He also has started to rely on me heavily for emotional support and things to do. I'm a very busy person, he is not, so whenever he does anything it's with me, aside from the odd day/evening with his friends. I'll have a busy, packed weekend, and he'll be messaging me about how bored he is. He finishes work at 3 p.m., and I work until 5 p.m. or 8 p.m., and he'll be messaging me constantly after he finishes. He also gets very upset over small things, and cried a couple of weeks in when he thought I was going to leave him. He will get upset if he thinks I don't find him attractive in a selfie he sent, and other similar things have happened. This is just the few big things. Since I've realized we aren't working, I'm just seeing more and more red flags and problems within our relationship, and we haven't even been together that long. My problem is, and the advice I need is, how I break up with him. I know he's going to be heartbroken, and may even beg me not to leave him, and I'm dreading having this conversation. I really appreciate him as a person, and he is a good man, and I really don't want to hurt him at all. To make it even trickier, we have mutual friends, and may have to see each other in future. If I mention either the difference in wanting children or the arguing, or anything else, he will just say we can work through it. I know he will. But we're not working through anything, and the wanting/not wanting children is not something we can work through. Too long did not read. I, 25F, want to break up with my boyfriend, 22M, who is emotionally reliant on me. Mainly because he wants children and I don't, and we argue a lot. I know he's going to be heartbroken, so looking for advice on how to go about it. Any advice would be appreciated, thank you. You've only been dating 3-4 months. This kind of timeline of ending things happens pretty often. It's going to suck, and you can't really control how he reacts to it. The best you can do is summarize what you told us, that he's a great person, but just not the right person for you romantically, and wish him the best. Keep it simple. This isn't working for me. I know you don't see our disagreements as deal breakers, but the longer this goes on, the less I see myself in the future you're planning. I'm sorry, but I'm done. This is not a debate or negotiation. He doesn't need to agree that your differences are unresolvable, even though they are. He just needs to accept that's how you feel, and you don't want to continue the relationship. If he can't or won't do that, you really shouldn't be prioritizing his feelings over yours when he won't extend you the same courtesy. Triangular flag, triangular flag, triangular flag. Every woman wants children, triangular flag, triangular flag, triangular flag. He doesn't believe that you are a real human being in the same way that he is. I'm sorry, we simply want different things in life. Good luck with your future endeavors. I'd recommend ending it in a public place. A coffee shop or park maybe. Highly emotional guys can be unpredictable, and it'd be a safer option for you. As for the how, maybe something asking the lines of, I do care about you, but we have fundamental differences in how we see our futures that make us incompatible. I know you think I'll change my mind, but you can't build forever on a maybe, and we both deserve someone whose values align with our own. But he is adamant that I will change my mind eventually, as every woman does. Why do you have so much empathy for a garden variety misogynist? If it makes you feel safer, you can always break up over text, and don't let other people make you think otherwise. You never, and do not need to feel obligated to break it off in person. Just a reminder.